Welcome to the Daily AI News, brought to you by the Day After AI News channel.
We have quite a lot to get through today.
We really do. Looking at the stack for February 3, 2026, I kept thinking about that old Hemingway line, about how you go bankrupt.
Gradually, then suddenly.
Exactly. We've spent years gradually talking about chatbots, writing emails or making funny pictures. Today feels like the suddenly.
Yeah.
We aren't just talking about text anymore.
Really?
We're talking about physical infrastructure in orbit and agents making decisions on other planets.
That's the theme that just jumps out at me. Agency and scale. The AI is like leaving the chat window.
It really is.
It's moving into data centers floating in space. It's driving rovers on Mars. And frankly, it's getting mixed up in corporate espionage. The digital is becoming very, very physical.
It's a massive slate.
Yeah.
So just to keep this organized for everyone listening, we've broken this deep dive into three main pillars. First, we're going to look at the frontier of infrastructure. We have Elon Musk merging companies to put compute in space, and then Johnson Controls with blueprints for these massive 1 gigawatt AI factories here on Earth.
Then we'll pivot to the rise of agents. And this is the big shift from asking AI to, tasking AI. We'll get into IBM's new kit, a really mind-bending story about Claude piloting a NASA rover.
That story is incredible.
And why Snowflake is shelling out big money for OpenAI.
And finally, we have to talk about the minefield of security and ethics. There's a historic conviction of a Google engineer, new malware targeting Mac users, and this growing debate over nutrition labels for news.
Let's start with infrastructure, because the scale is, it's getting hard to even wrap your head around.
Right. The headline that grabbed everyone is Elon Musk merging SpaceX and xAI. My first reaction was, skepticism. Is this just corporate shuffling?
Sure.
But the why in the report seems to be all about the energy cliff we're apparently facing.
It is. And to really get this, you have to look at the power consumption curves. Musk, and honestly, most data scientists are arguing that the demand for compute is just. It's outpacing our terrestrial power grids.
We can't build power plants fast enough.
We literally can't. Not on Earth. Not to feed the AI models of 2028 or 2030 without causing huge environmental damage or, local brownouts.
So Musk's solution is to just bypass the grid entirely.
He's calling space the only logical solution. If you put a data center in orbit, you have access to unblocked solar energy.
24/7.
24/7. No clouds, no nighttime. It's a constant, basically unlimited energy source.
But isn't there a physics problem there? I mean, space is cold, but a vacuum is a perfect insulator. How do you get rid of the heat?
That is the big technical hurdle. You have to use radiative cooling. So think giant panels that just emit infrared radiation out into the void.
So it's harder than on Earth.
It's harder, but Musk is betting that the free energy just completely outweighs the thermal engineering costs. And the merger isn't just an idea, it's about the delivery system. He's tying the AI company to the rocket company.
Because you need heavy lift. To get racks of GPUs up there, you need a serious rocket.
Exactly. He's banking everything on Starship. He's aiming for a 200-ton payload. If he can reliably lift 200 tons, he can put real industrial infrastructure up there.
And this ties into the new Starlink satellites too, right?
Right, the V3 satellites. They have 20 times the bandwidth.
Yeah.
So the whole vision is launch the data center on Starship, power it with orbital solar, cool it with radiation, and then beam all that data down via Starlink.
He's claiming that within 2 to 3 years, this is going to be the lowest cost way to get compute. That sounds wild.
It is bold, but if you see a big spike in terrestrial energy prices because of scarcity, well, the math might just cross over sooner than we think.
So while Musk is looking up at the stars, Johnson Controls is dealing with the reality right here on the ground. They just dropped a guide for building 1 gigawatt AI data centers.
Can we just pause on that number? 1 gigawatt.
It's staggering.
That's roughly the output of a nuclear reactor. It can power about 750,000 homes. And they're not even calling them server farms anymore. They're calling them AI factories.
Which feels right. We're manufacturing intelligence. But the bottleneck here isn't just power, it's water. Traditional data centers are incredibly thirsty.
They are. And that's where Johnson Controls is really innovating. The whole guide focuses on zero water consumption cooling.
How does that even work at that scale? You have to move the heat somewhere.
They're shifting to dry coolers and these high-temperature loops. See, the older chips, they needed to be kept really cool. The next-gen GPUs, though, were designed to run hotter.
Oh, okay.
And because the chips can tolerate those higher temperatures, you don't need the aggressive evaporative cooling that uses millions of gallons of water. You can use a closed-loop liquid system, like a giant car radiator.
So we're trading water efficiency for heat tolerance in the chips themselves. But all of this, the rockets, the gigawatt plants, this has to be incredibly expensive.
Oh, eye-watering. We got a peek at the bill in Alphabet's Q4 2025 earnings preview.
What are we talking about?
Google Alphabet has a $155 billion cloud backlog. That's work they have to do. But the real conversation with investors is all about CapEx, capital expenditure.
We're spending billions to build a factory before the revenue is really there.
And Wall Street is getting a little twitchy. They're looking for what they call AI monetization signals.
Basically, show me the money.
Yeah. Okay, you're breathing it, but is anyone actually buying the product? They're watching Gemini adoption like a hawk. If those gigawatt factories don't start spitting out cash, that stock price is going to have a rough time.
It's the ultimate build it and they will come gamble. Okay, so let's move to what's running inside these factories. This brings us to pillar 2. The rise of agents.
This is the shift I've been waiting for. We are finally moving from ask and answer to sense, think, act.
I think a lot of people use the word agent pretty loosely. How is this different from me just asking ChatGPT to write an email for me?
The difference is autonomy and tooling. IBM just released this video on their agent development kit, the 80K, that frames it perfectly. They say LLMs, the chatbots we know, are just the voice.
Okay.
The agents are the hands and brain.
Break that down for me. What are the hands in a digital world?
APIs. In the IBM model, you have Python code as the brain, the logic center. You have IoT devices, Internet of Things as the senses.
Like a temperature sensor or camera?
Exactly. And then you have REST APIs as the limbs. So the agent doesn't just tell you, hey, the machine is overheating. It uses an API to actually turn the machine off.
That is a huge leap in liability.
Yeah.
If a chatbot messes up, you get a weird poem. If an agent messes up, you could shut down an entire factory.
That's the core risk. And that's why IBM is stressing guardrails. You need code that sits between the AI's decision and the off switch to verify it. They're focused on fairness, safety, and trust.
Manual overrides, basically.
Manual overrides, logic checks, all of it, to prevent the AI from, breaking very expensive things.
Speaking of not breaking expensive things, we have to talk about Mars. This story about Anthropic's Claude driving the Perseverance rover, it just blew my mind.
This is the perfect example of why you need agents, not just chatbots. So back in December 2025, on Sol 1707 and 1709, NASA's JPL used Claude to plan a drive for the rover.
But why? I mean, NASA has the best drivers in the solar system sitting in a room in Pasadena.
It's the light leg. The signal delay between Earth and Mars is about 20 minutes, one way.
Wow. So 40 minutes round trip.
A 40-minute round trip. You can't joystick a rover. You have to send a command, wait 40 minutes, and then find out if you drove it into a ditch.
Right. So they usually plan it out very carefully and send a whole batch of commands.
Which is slow. What they did here was feed Claude the raw map data of the Martian terrain. Claude processed all the obstacles, the path, and then, and this is the amazing part, it wrote the code.
It wrote the actual commands.
It generated the commands in Rover markup language.
Which I'm guessing is not just go forward 10 feet.
Not at all. It's complex vector instructions. And Claude plotted a 400-meter drive. And the significance isn't just that it worked on Mars, it's about where we go next.
Tell you about a Titan.
Exactly. The signal delay to Jupiter's moons, or Saturn's moons, is hours. You literally cannot drive those from Earth. You need an agent on the ground that can sense, think, and act all by itself.
We are outsourcing exploration because the universe is just too big for real-time control. That's profound.
It is.
Now, bringing it back to Earth, we see the same logic with corporate data. Snowflake and OpenAI just announced a huge $200 million deal.
This is all about data gravity. In the past, if you wanted to use a powerful AI on your company's data, you had to upload your private data to the AI provider.
Which any bank or hospital would immediately say absolutely not to.
Right. It's a security nightmare. This partnership flips that model. They are bringing OpenAI's GPT 5.2 directly into Snowflake's cloud. The brain comes to the data.
So a hospital could build an agent to analyze patient records, and not a single byte of that data ever leaves their secure environment.
That's the whole idea. It allows for that agency analyzing SQL, text, images, but all within a secure perimeter.
But perimeters can be breached. and trust can be abused. Which brings us to our third pillar, security, ethics, and the market. We have a major conviction in the courts.
Linwei Ding, a name people should probably remember. He's a former Google engineer just convicted of stealing over 2,000 pages of trade secrets.
And we're not talking about, like, cafeteria menus here.
No. He stole the architecture for Google's TPUs, their tensor processing units, and the GPU software. He was funneling this to Chinese interests and his own startup.
And this is the first ever conviction for AI-related economic espionage.
It is. It sets a huge precedent. It's basically the government saying AI architecture is now a matter of national security.
But the threat isn't just from the inside. Microsoft Security put out a report on info stealers without borders. We're seeing a big pivot in cybercrime towards the creative class, specifically Mac users.
Yeah, I feel like Mac users have had this false sense of security for years. Macs don't get viruses.
That era is over. This new wave, stuff like Digit Stealer and Atomic Stealer, they're using social engineering called ClickFix. How does that work?
You'll visit a website, maybe looking for a design tool or something, and you get a fake error message. It looks like a system prompt. It says, there's an error. Just paste this command into your terminal to fix it.
That's really clever. It's not exploiting a bug in the code. It's exploiting the user's desire to just solve a problem.
And the second you paste that command, you've handed over the keys to the castle. It scrapes your crypto wallets, your browser passwords, your developer API keys, everything.
Which is terrifying when you think about deepfakes. If they have your credentials and your likeness, it's a nightmare.
Which is why this push for nutrition labels on content is heating up. There's a UK think tank, the IPPR, urging the government to make it mandatory to label AI-generated news.
We're seeing the industry try to self-regulate here a bit with Adobe's content credentials. And camera makers like Leica and Nikon are baking it into the hardware, right?
Yeah. The camera digitally signs the image the moment the shutter clicks. It creates a chain of custody. If that signature is broken, you know the image has been manipulated.
And we saw why this is so important with those fake Jeffrey Epstein images that were circulating on X.
That was ugly. Deep-faked images of him with a baby. People only spotted it because of a faint DFF watermark and some AI glitches, like a baby holding chickens.
Right.
But without those flaws, millions would have accepted it as fact.
Just shows that as the agents get better, the guardrails for truth have to get stronger. Okay, let's close out with something tangible. We've talked space, we've talked crime, but how is this helping actual industries today?
Healthcare. That's the big win right now. Olympus has a cloud AI called Caddy for colonoscopies.
Not the most glamorous topic, but it absolutely saves lives.
It does. The EGLA trial showed this AI helps doctors spot high-risk lesions, especially these things called SSLs. They're flat, they blend in with the tissue, and a human eye can easily miss them.
So the AI isn't doing the procedure, it's just highlighting the danger zones.
It's a second set of eyes that never gets tired. And importantly, the data showed it didn't increase unnecessary removals. It was very precise.
We're seeing similar precision in industrial maintenance.
Right.
Spark Technology is using computer vision to look at rust.
Rust sounds boring, but corrosion costs the global economy about 3.4% of its GDP.
That's trillions of dollars.
Trillions just vanishing into dust. Spark's AI took a test that took a human 40 minutes and did it in a few seconds.
That's the efficiency dividend right there. Before we go, I want to touch on the panic in the gaming world. Google showed off Project Genie, which creates 3D worlds from text, and stocks for Unity and Roblox just tanked.
It was a total knee-jerk reaction. Investors thought, oh no, AI is going to replace game engines. But analysts are calming everyone down.
It's a tool, not a replacement.
Exactly. BioBig Studio isn't going to fire its artists and just type, make me a game. They're going to use these tools to build assets faster. It's an efficiency play. And on that note, we saw the launch of Snowflake AI, a royalty-free music generator, which is huge for content creators. Text to music without getting a copyright strike.
It's a big deal.
And finally, just to debunk a wild rumor, there was talk that a Chinese chip firm, Purple Mountain, was going to buy NVIDIA.
This is the definition of the ant trying to swallow the elephant. Purple Mountain, or Unisoc, is worth about $7.7 billion. NVIDIA is sitting at $4.68 trillion.
So the math doesn't quite work.
The difference is 470 times. The math just isn't there.
Good to know the laws of mathematics still apply in 2026.
For now, yeah.
So let's wrap this all up. We've gone from data centers in orbit to rust detection on pipelines. What's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think it's the shift from passive to active. For the last few years, we've been impressed that AI can write. Now, We are watching AI act.
Right.
It's driving the rover.
Yeah.
It's managing the cooling loop. It's detecting the cancer. It's no longer just a tool you hold. It's becoming a coworker you have to trust.
And that trust is the currency of this whole new era.
Absolutely. The guardrails are everything.
Here's my final thought for you to chew on.
Oh.
We talked about Claude driving on Mars. If Musk gets his way and we put compute in space and we send these autonomous agents to places like Titan or Europa, imagine an AI lands, explores, and makes a discovery, say alien life. But there's no human there to verify it. It just sends back the data. Does it change how we define discovery if a machine experiences it first, millions of miles away from any human soul?
That is a haunting thought to end on.
Thanks for plugging into the deep dive. We'll see you tomorrow.
Before you go, please subscribe to the podcast Prime. And if you enjoyed today's episode, hit like to support us. Thanks for listening and see you next time.